Hey, what's up, my people? Please allow for me to be a hypocrite of sorts. I am a walking paradox, a walking contradiction at times, and yes, I do think that it is necessary. I am all about the extremes more so than the balance. Um, so, I'm an advocate for being the kindest person in the world and an advocate for being a complete asshole because it both are needed at times. So, but that's not what this video is about. There's a couple things that I do remind myself uh, that allows me to feel better in any given moment, which frees me up. Actually, now that I think about it, something that I was reminding myself yesterday is you can be an asshole. All right, uh, you have to have that defense. All right, it's for me. It doesn't feel all that empowering to turn the other cheek. At times, it does. But people try to take full advantage, and then you got to show the animal that's within. But a, a couple things, because I thought I was gonna go with one thing and just ride it out. So we'll see. But the one thing that I do remind myself is that we are feeble. We are extremely small. We are extremely weak in comparison to something, in comparison to this world. So, like, just zoom out. You zoom out and you see a bunch of ants before you see a bunch of nothing. All right? Zoom in. And this will kind of bring me to my next point, or maybe this is the first point still. But zoom in, and then you got a bunch of people who don't feel significant, who feel extremely significant, and, one is being questioned and the other is trying to find that we are, it's all over the place. It's very in flux. It's like looking down at an anthill or looking around at bees. It's kind of I won't say it's natural, but it's just an ebb and flow. Things are moving. It's a wheel. It's churning. It's turning. People are learning, and I'm rapping for you. uh so which brings me to the point where the more you try to be significant, the less significant you are. Is what I found. And you know me, and this is why I am a hypocrite at times. You know me, I like to tell people to strive for greatness, be the best you could be. Probably even said don't be denied, all of these things. But I also bang my head against the wall trying to make a difference. So, I just want to backtrack a little bit. I can't even find a word. I'm extremely tired. I want to retract my statement a little bit. Those statements, by just saying that understand that significance is a highly subjective thing. All right, very, it's based on the opinions, based on what you value, your value structure. And with that being said, I think it's just best to accept things as, I'm not significant. Now, you don't accept things like that to lower your self-esteem, but to release from such a foolish endeavor, a losing game. You say, I want to be the best person in the world. I want to be, the greatest this, the greatest that. If one person doesn't think you're the greatest person in the world, well, then you're not the greatest person in the world. I don't. Or so I tell myself. If you're not the greatest person in the world to this person, then you're not the greatest person in the world. In that world, in other worlds, you will be. But it doesn't require banging your head against the wall. You just have to be, and you have to do what feels natural to you. So I say these things to free you up. It reminds me of, and follow me because there's a lot of guys on here. It reminds me of Ryan Fitzpatrick, the quarterback for the Miami Dolphins right now. One of the most interesting quarterbacks the NFL has ever seen. I mean, he has some very unique stats that I can't even bring up right now. But I overheard something recently that I think that he said after his 37th birthday, which was 2 weeks ago or so. And he's basically just saying, like, it's not going to last forever, so I'm just going to have a great time. Like, I'm just going to play, like kids in the backyard. And he would know. He has, like, I think seven children. Um, I mean, and that's it. Like, none of us are getting out alive. We want to hold on to our sanities even when it doesn't serve us. And we want to fit into crowds that don't fit us, that they don't fit us. That's what we need to be thinking about sometimes. But also, like, we want people to see a great importance in us that we don't necessarily see in ourselves, and we do let that depict. And I know I've spoken that before, but there's a lot of room for growth in that regard. So I have to keep speaking on it. So I remind myself these things. I remind myself that, hey, maybe I'm just, maybe nobody's significant to the world. Maybe nobody's significant in the grand scheme of things, and that's just something that we placed upon ourselves to give life meaning, which also makes me a hypocrite because, I talk about how to live a meaningful life, and, but at the end of the day, it's all about what you deem to be meaningful. And so we're working with something here because, what you deem to be meaningful, another person won't, so it's no need to have a debate over it with the next person. And I'm not just talking about what may be meaningful, but what a person should believe in. I think that's like, and I mean, and that's definitely a great deal of it because, like, look how many people argue, and I mean, I'm just as guilty as the next, but look how many people argue about what another person should believe in. How another person should conduct themselves, how another person should dress, whatever it is. It's a collective thing. I get that for the most part. It's a collective thing. The contrarians aren't necessarily making the loudest noise. I mean, a lot of them are actually, but when we rally behind a notion or something like that, that's what gives it power. Okay. So it just seems like, and this also frees you up from wasting your time fighting with people, telling them how they should be, and it frees you up to just focus on not only the change that you want to bring to this world, but like just the example of just how you think a person should conduct themselves. It reminds me of Mr. Rogers. I'm a big fan of Mr. Rogers. I always loved Mr. Rogers. And he was a Christian. I'm not a Christian, but he was a Christian, and where you see a lot of other Christians, they talk, tell you how it should be. They condemn you if you don't agree with, if you don't agree with them, and everything along those lines. Whereas you take somebody like Mr. Rogers, and he just shows you what it means to be a great Christian. So he, a great example. Now again, very subjective. That's just something that I resonate with. And although this video isn't about that, I had to address that. But these are the things that I tell myself that frees me up, makes me feel okay. Now, this is not to push the problems aside. It's just to put everything into perspective. Allows me to maneuver how I see fit, do the things that I want to do, and make myself like the ant, which I got to speak on. Make myself like the ant, and give myself some work to do. The reason why I wanted to speak on the ant actually is, like, if you say that we are significant, understanding how small we are in compared to the world, then ants are significant, and we should watch our steps. You know what I'm saying? which is damn near impossible. Who knows how many ants I done killed today? Well, probably not any because it's raining, but in my lifetime, on purpose and not on purpose. You know, because we're all part of this giant organism, which is, uh, at least I hope it's called an organism, but follow me. We're all part of this world that's a part of something even bigger. Now, this world is feeble in comparison to something. Like, I'm saying we're small in comparison to the world. We're small in comparison to the galaxy clusters, to the galaxy. Like, where does it end? Okay? Mortal and feeble minds try to put a barrier on it because they couldn't possibly fathom that it just doesn't end at all. Every time I think about this, like, it just really, like, the inside of my head is just exploding because I'm just like, I am not equipped with that rationale. Like, for real, you think about something so deep, so mysterious, so unexplainable, and it almost like corrupts your mind to even think. But if you take it there, it kind of recalibrates your mind. It kind of gives you a restart, a reboot. Now, you know, you do this while you meditate, and also, you know, you do these things, you get a reboot. Now that puts you in a more natural state. And I say natural, you know, what's natural for an animal, not unlike ourselves, is to follow our intuition. Now, it's no coincidence that we are born with it. You know, born with a great deal of intuition. Babies can pick up on bad energy and all these things, and you know, other animals alike. And then as we get older, we get it whipped out of us. You know, we think we know better, but then we find a way to think ourselves into all of these traps. All right, to all of these beliefs that don't serve us. You know, and we don't have to. But by the time we realize we don't have to, the damage has already been done. Not too many of us have been raised by parents who taught us to think in a way that doesn't leave us in boxes. So we feel like it's got to be this particular way in any regard, financially, emotionally, whatever else you can think of, or nothing, you know. But because, you know, we think like this, we cap our upside every time. And so that's something that I have to work out, you know, work myself out of. I don't know if that will ever be the case, but because I wake up in the morning and I have to fight off all of these old beliefs again and again and again. So with that being said, I don't know if this was of any value. It's not up to me to decide. Thanks a lot.